You're talking about ARM holdings and ARM software and stuff like that, right? For for CPUs, semiconductors and stuff like that. No, they first started out in Acorn, right? Acorn Archimedes. Now see, this goes into what we were talking about last week too. Like you guys are talking, like these people are reverse engineering and stuff, and a lot of that technology for gaming comes straight out of DARPA. You know, Magnavox was notorious for it. Yeah, you're right. You're right. They are British. You are, well, what was it? What was the name of that company that we were talking about that was associated with Magnavox back then? And they were actually subsidiaries for Canada here in the United States. It, do you remember that? Don't don't get me started on Pong. Remember, we were just talking about that last week. Pong was developed by the military and installed into these universities so that they could get the response times of students. And then you start talking about ARPANET. Yeah, I was picking on you the other night. That's probably what it was, and you got curious because remember I was telling you how you had all this stuff freaking like sitting around, and Dave's probably. Oh, okay, okay. Well, Dave's probably the same way. He's probably got shit from way back in 1985 sitting somewhere. I could almost guarantee it. Okay, so you guys were talking about that. Now, one thing we were talking about, Dave, last week was CompuServe. Now, what's your thoughts about CompuServe back in the 1980s and stuff? That's right. That's the way it should have been. Good for you. Good, good for you. I could imagine Mark. Mark was probably like on his Commodore and shit. He's only like maybe 2 or 3 years older than you. I watched He-Man. The day He-Man came out, I'm gonna tell you a story about He-Man. This is good too because I was living in Florida and He-Man just came out, and our television went black, dude. So I had to sit and I had to listen to freaking He-Man without a screen for the first month that it was out. Okay, and I'll tell you one thing. This is the weird part about it is my imagination was better than the actual show. Like I was disappointed when I actually saw the freaking cartoon. You know, but I can still remember that to this day, man. That's He-Man. I was into He-Man and Voltron. Voltron. I mean, the first series. After they went on to Voltron, the second and I think it was just the second ones where they were on that ship. The Lions. Well, they don't let you guys over in England watch good stuff. What the that's what the problem is. Like, you guys probably banned cartoons like back in the 1970s or something. Do you guys even watch cartoons? Thundercats, yeah. Oh, the Smurfs was the big one. Yeah, probably because it was like a blonde little female Smurf that was being chased around by a bunch of horny other Smurfs. That's definitely English. That like like English or Canadian, one of the two. Canadians do. Yeah, exactly. I mean, I've seen freaking shows, man. Like you guys have those BDSM parlors where you can go in and get whipped by women in leather and shit. Go to London, dude. I'm gonna go back and cover some of the stuffs that I did in previous episodes and kind of go back through it because I know I've been having some serious audio problems. The last one I did, the people who were on with me, nobody could hear them, so I do have Skype open if anybody wants to come in and have a conversation about video games. Right now, I'm going to start out with Sega versus Nintendo and talk about the console wars that happened in the 1990s. And then it'll go on from there. So I'm going to kind of go through some of the stuff that was covered before and catch up and get it all on stream so that I can be done with it. To be honest with you, this is not turning into that well of a stream to be fair. I mean, I've been having some serious issues. I was going to stream last Monday, but we ended up having some heavy snow, which caused problems with the internet, so I wasn't able to do that. So, with all of that being said, let me go ahead and get started, and I hope you guys enjoy. Now, in the 1990s, it marked the height of the console wars, with Sega and Nintendo battling for market dominance. Sega's Genesis targeted older audiences, while edgier games like Mortal Kombat, while Nintendo maintained a family-friendly image with franchises like Super Mario Bros. And The Legacy of Zelda. Now, despite their rivalry, both companies operated in a silhouette environment. The idea of connecting consoles to the internet remained unexplored, as hardware limitations and lack of infrastructure posed significant challenges. Now, with me, I do have to admit that is true. And I wouldn't say adult oriented. It wasn't more older, maybe older audiences. You know, I do remember being older. I was more into Mortal Kombat and things like that. But to be fair, I never really did like the whole family-friendly games. It's like I was previously doing games with Nostalgia Gaming, and Rapid wanted me to always do Nintendo games, and it's like all the games that he wanted me to do I just really, really did not like, and every single one of them had to do with Nintendo. I was never one who was into Super Mario or Mario Kart or, Zelda. I did them, but I really didn't enjoy doing them. I was always more of the Sega player, and even on Sega there were some games that I didn't enjoy at all. Like I did not like playing freaking Sonic the Hedgehog. That game drove me nuts. And Donkey Kong was another game that just completely annoyed the hell out of me. I believe that was Nintendo too, but that's something that I do have to agree with. Now, the console, connecting consoles and stuff like that, I don't know. Yeah, actually, I have to say that is true, because I remember whenever they came out with PS1, I believe it was PS1 or PS2. They had started attempting to do that, and they had this little device that you had to stick up on top of it so that you could actually play on the internet and stuff, and it was real clunky and hard to handle. I remember a friend of mine, I went over to his house, and one of his sister's boyfriends had one, and he put it on there, and he was playing one of the Lord of the Rings games on the internet. And it just seemed so much of a hassle the way he had to do all of it. But it was the it was the beginning. That's how it all happened. So, well, I mean, let's be serious. Everybody's being a little bit too hard on Gargamel these days. It's like everybody thinks he's like right. I mean, come on now. I mean, if you can love freaking ogres, then you can love freaking Gargamel, right? Okay, now earlier when you guys were talking about Atari, okay, we had this conversation last week, and I think even before that, but like I was talking about now for me, my personal opinion is like how we were mentioning CompuServe and stuff, and you were talking about the prices. Now, for me personally, I feel like that was intentional because like I believe that there was a movement back then that was trying to throttle internet gaming. You know what I mean? They wanted to make it to where it was harder to set up internet gaming as to going out and buying consoles. You know what I mean? Well, see, we were even talking before, and I mentioned Pong, which was Magnavox. Okay, that was the ringleaders behind that, and they were just saturated with government freaking organizations. And what happened was Atari came out with their consoles in the 1980s. The 2600 is what we were talking about, and that kind of put a squash on the whole internet gaming. You know what I mean? That when Atari came out, that was pretty much the well, not really. Then when Pac-Man and all that came out, that was the game changer. Computers would have hit off a lot better back then if it was promoted more, because you got to also remember how many of those women freaking were going to strip malls to learn how to freaking work on MS DOS. You know what I'm saying? It was a big deal back then. It was more popular back in the 80s than what it is today. Today it's a luxury. Yeah. Well, my whole point though is the fact that like if they would have had a chance to expand more than what they did, it would have been a big hit, because like if you look at like how many people were interested in wanting to make careers out of working on computers or being involved with the program. Well, honestly, you're wrong there about the Commodores. Now, Commodores were very popular. Yeah, yeah, right. We didn't know about them. Now, price manipulation. Okay, that's something that's interesting. I find it ironic too that the one thing they were trying to suppress is actually something that was a game changer, and now it's almost impossible for them to freaking do that like they did back in the 80s. Like I remember a VCR, going out and getting a VCR would cost you like 400 or 500 bucks back in the 80s, late 80s. It was so expensive. Well, we got ours that used when we got it, and the first one we had was actually when I moved to Arizona. I was already like 13 years old, so that was like in '86. And what I remember before the regular ones was the betas. You guys even remember the betas with the big old discs? And see, that's kind of what we're talking about right there. With a lot of this was it's actually like I find it ironic that now with the internet as open as what it is, I don't see that kind of stuff being able to take place, because like things are a lot cheaper for a reason. You know what I mean? Now, since you guys got into this whole thing about marketing and everything, there was something that I always found suspicious that I wanted to bring up, which is actually something. It kind of gets into what we're supposed to talk about in this episode, okay? And it was the console wars that started back in the 1990s, okay? Do you guys now? I've noticed, like with me.